Hello everyone, it's Dale here. Today I'd like to talk about advanced take profit placement, and let's start with a little quiz to see where you're at, right? So if you look at this picture here, this is a picture of a swing trade which I took recently, and I have a little question for you. This was the trade entry based on those heavy volumes here, and this was the long trade entry, right? So I went long from there, and now my question is where the take profit for this trade should be, right? Look at the volume profile, look at the price action, and tell me where the ideal take profit for this trade should be. If you've been following me for some time, then you know that I like to place my take profit before a strong barrier. And because I trade with volume profile, that strong barrier is in most cases a heavy volume zone, right? That's a barrier. In this case, we have a strong barrier right here. This is a heavy volume zone, and this is the beginning of that heavy volume zone. So in this case, the take profit was right here. Let me show you how the trade played out. See, the price hit that barrier. I was able to take that profit here, and then the price turned and went downwards. And the reason is that the price hit that barrier. Price likes to react to those heavy volume zones, to those barriers. So that's why you want to quit your trade before the price actually hits that barrier and potentially reacts to it, right? So this is how I do things, but sometimes it is a little bit more complicated, and this is actually what I want to focus on in this video, because sometimes a heavy volume zone like this just isn't there. Sometimes it's very hard to find a place to take profit. In this case, it was simple, it was easy. Heavy volume zone was easy to spot. Sometimes it is not so easy to spot. And this was exactly the case on a trade on the euro dollar, which I took recently. And in our live trading room, I was talking about this trade and about how you can determine where you want to place take profit in case like that. So let me show you the snippet from the live trading room and show you how to place the take profit in those cases where it is not so clear as in here. So here comes the video. I hope you find it useful, and here we go. This was a trade short based on this volume cluster and based on the gap in here. This was the short, and I just wanted to talk about the take profit placement with this one, because you guys are often asking me about this, and I think this is a perfect example of a good take profit placement. So as you can see, the level worked nicely, right? Nice reaction, but where to place the take profit? That's the question. So it's very nicely visible on the 1 minute chart here. So this is the 1 minute chart of euro, and this was the level. This was the reaction to the level. And let me draw the profile here. You always want to use the profile to look into the area where the price was going towards the level, right? So you want to look into this area. You want to look for first barrier to stand in the way. That should be the take profit. So if you look here, then this was a significant volume cluster standing in the way, right? The price was going downwards, and this was the significant volume cluster standing in the way. There was also a beautiful confluence, because if I draw a line here like this, you can see that the price was reacting here and very sharply in here. So it was a resistance. When the price blew past it, it's turned into support, right? So this is actually my favorite setup, right? Volume cluster plus resistance becoming support. So my favorite setup is telling me that the price should go up from here. Now, I wasn't trading this long, but at least I was able to quit the trade here before the price turned upwards, right? So this was the take profit because of this. This was the first barrier, a very strong barrier, which was standing in the way of that trade. This is exactly what you want to do. You want to look for the first barrier. And You can also do it on 1 minute chart if it's not clear, like on the 30-minute chart, like in here, it wasn't as clear, right? We are back at the 30-minute chart now. Those are the two rejections. That's the resistance turning into support, and this was the volume cluster. So it is visible, but it is not as clear as on the 1 minute time frame here, right? It is not as clear as in here when you clearly see the volumes, where you clearly see the rejections and that strong level. So I don't always use the 1 minute chart to do this. Our risk reward ratio was positive. My stop was, let me go back to the 30-minute chart. My stop was around 10 pips here. I had the stop somewhere in here. I was like, okay, I need to let the trade breathe a bit. So I had the stop wider. Okay. And take profit was, so the risk reward ratio was almost 2 for this trade. What I wanted to tell you is I always don't switch to the 1 minute time frame when deciding about the take profit. I only do that when I want to find a place where to quit the trade, and I'm not super sure when I look on the 30-minute time frame. All right, like very, very often you do find a nice place on the 30-minute time frame. I would say like maybe 70, even 80% of the time. You don't need to switch time frames to find a good barrier to quit your trade, right? In this case, it wasn't as easy to find it. So that's why I looked on the 1 minute chart. And when I saw this, it was like, okay, this is clear. This is the volume cluster. This is the resistance turning into support. It needs to be here, right? This is super clear. So sometimes it helps. You don't need to have a 1 minute chart. Maybe you can use 5 minute chart. I bet it would look pretty similar. Yeah, this is the 5 minute chart. You would find it on 5 minute chart as well. On 5 minute chart, this would be the volume cluster. Those were the resistances, and this was the take profit. So yeah, on the 5 minute chart, it's visible as well. Okay, so that's for the take profit. You always want to look for some barriers, and you always want to have bigger risk reward ratio than 1. Alright, so that was the video. I hope you guys found it useful. Just a little summary before I wrap the video up. The first important thing is that with your trades, you want to trade with at least risk reward ratio 1, right? So you don't want to risk more than you actually gain on that trade, right? So risk reward ratio should be more than 1. That's the first rule. The second rule is quit your trade before a barrier, right? And if you can't find a barrier on the original time frame that you trade on, then you can switch to a faster time frame. So like in the example, I was originally trading on the 30-minute time frame, which is my favorite time frame for intraday trading. But if I can't find ideal place for the take profit, then I switch to a 5-minute time frame or even 1-minute time frame to find the perfect spot to quit that trade. All right? So that's how I do things. That's what works best for me. And if you guys would like to join me and trade with me and other prop firm traders live every day, then I recommend visiting my website. This is it, trader-dale.com. And if you click this button, which says FTA, then it will take you to this page where you can watch this video where I'll explain everything more in detail. And if you are interested, then you can book one-on-one call in here, and we'll walk you through the service, and then you can decide whether or not this is right for you. All right, so that's about that. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Until then, happy trading.